What's up guys, my name's Brandon, and today Apple released a new firmware update for the AirPods Max, making this the first update ever since these over-ear headphones dropped back in December. Now, we did not get an update for the regular AirPods or the AirPods Pro, but we could see an update for these guys sometime relatively soon. I would expect some sort of firmware update in 2021. But of course, in this video, I wanted to show you guys how to update your AirPods Max, talk about what's changed in this update, and my overall experience after using them all day on this new firmware version. So unlike iOS, macOS, watchOS, or tvOS, Apple does not give us a changelog or tell us what's changed in these AirPods updates. And honestly, I kind of like it that way because then you have to search around, you have to kind of dig through and find these small and major changes in these updates. But anyways, since Apple does not provide release notes for the AirPods Max, we cannot be sure exactly what's changed, but one thing that I can confirm that has been addressed is the battery drain. But before we discuss that and more potential fixes in this update, let's first go over how to update and check your firmware version on the AirPods Max. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the little purse over there to the side, and we're gonna go to our iPhone right here. So if you go into your settings, go to Bluetooth, and then you'll see the AirPods Max right there. Go ahead and tap on the eye right next to that. Then you wanna go ahead and scroll all the way down until you get to the About section of your AirPods Max here in settings. Then you will see version, and you should see this version right here, 3C39. Now, of course, if you do not see that version, that means that your AirPods Max have not been updated yet. So Apple doesn't really tell you exactly how to update your AirPods Max, but it's very similar to the way that you update the AirPods Pro. So all you want to do is just put the AirPods Max in their case, so the case that comes with it, the smart case, you just want to put them in there like this, just go ahead and shut it, and then plug it in with a lightning cable, make sure they are charging, and then they will just update by themselves. Now, sometimes you may have to connect it, for mine to update, I kind of had to pull them out like this while they were connected or to power source while they were charging, and then it connected to my iPhone, and then they just updated. Now, you'll know that they're updating when they will not connect to anything. So when they were updating, my AirPods Max would just simply not connect to anything. I didn't know they were updating because there's no type of screen or progress bar or anything to show that they're updating, but they basically just would not connect to anything. And then I also got a beeping noise when I pressed either one of these buttons. So I got a beeping noise and they just wouldn't connect. And that's how I knew that they were updating to the new version, because after about 5 minutes, they were able to connect. Everything worked fine. And then I checked the settings and they were updated to this version 3C39. So now let's talk about the battery drain on the AirPods Max. Now, I know I'm not alone when it comes to AirPods Max battery drain because I've seen, many people talk about this for many months now. I mean, I've seen it on my videos here on YouTube. I've seen it mentioned on social media, and I've seen it posted all over the Apple support forums. And like I said, this has been talked about and going on ever since the launch of the AirPods Max back in December of 2020. And for me personally, my battery drain didn't drain when I was listening to music or when I had them, on my head listening to podcasts or whatever I was doing, watching movies. They would only drain when I was done listening to music or watching movies or whatever, and I would put them into their case, for like 12 hours or until just the next day. And then I would come back the next morning or the next night and it would be at 1%, like clockwork. Almost every single day I did that, they would just be drained down to 1% and sometimes 0%. And for whatever reason, it would always be one of those numbers. And I had battery, going into it. I had like at least probably like 30+% battery remaining every time. And then it just drained and they were like nearly dead the next day. And, I even tried it without being in the case. I tried sometimes, not putting them in the case and seeing if there's maybe an issue with the smart case. But no, the battery's still drained no matter what I did. But now with this 3C39 update, it looks like the battery drain has been fixed, at least so far. So I listened to my AirPods Max and then I stopped listening to them. I put them in their case for over 6 hours and then I checked on that battery level and it only dropped 2% in those 6 hours. Now, sure, I do wish that it didn't even drain 1%, but hey, that's a lot better than a 50% drop that I've been facing before this update. So that was really good to see, and I tested that specifically after installing this new update earlier today. So if you've been having battery drain issues on the AirPods Max, I would highly recommend going ahead and updating. Now, of course, you don't really have a choice. Your AirPods Max are going to update that by themselves anyways. You can't, delay updates or anything like that. So they will update, but just know that there is good news coming for your AirPods Max. You're not gonna have to switch them out for another pair because the battery drains, because that happened to a lot of people. I would, argue to say most people. So thankfully that's been fixed. And in addition to the battery drain fix, I also have not encountered any random disconnects since updating my AirPods Max. So sometimes my AirPods Max would just randomly drop connection from my iPhone 12 Pro for whatever reason. I mean, it was like no reason at all. They would just randomly disconnect. And then sometimes they would reconnect right away. And other times I would have to go into my Bluetooth and manually reconnect my AirPods Max. It would just say not connected. I'd have to tap on it and then they would just connect right away. So it was really strange, but I've not had that happen once, since using this new update. Now, of course, I have not had days or weeks to test this as it just came out earlier today, but if anything changes and I start having those disconnects again, I will let you guys know in a future video. But for now, it seems like that has been fixed as well, at least for me. Now, also in this update, it seems that connecting to a Mac is much faster. So previously, when I would go to connect my AirPods Max to my M1 Mac Mini, it would take like 5 to 10 seconds every single time, like constantly. But now it happens almost instantaneously, like maybe a 1 second delay, if that, but it pretty much connects to my M1 Mac Mini now instantly. So that is really good news as well if you use your AirPods Max with your Mac. Now the auto switching is also solid and I don't get any lag or delay with auto switching, although I never really had any issues with the auto switch feature where, it would switch from one device to another depending on which one is playing that audio source. So for example, if I had two iPhones and I played, music on one, then I paused it and played music on the other, the AirPods Max will automatically connect to whatever one is playing the music. So that is also, maybe fixed in this update. I never really had any issues, but it seems fine in this update. So if you were having issues, that could also be fixed in this update. And it just seems like Apple has improved the overall performance and connectivity in this update, which is much needed since I know some people have had many of these issues or all of these issues, including stutter. And these improvements are kind of expected. I mean, they've probably been working on this firmware update for months at this point, since this is the first firmware update to be pushed out to the AirPods Max, once again, ever since they were released back in December. But as for any visual changes, like anything inside of settings or anything like that, I did not notice anything new with this update. Now that usually comes with like a firmware update. So maybe with 14.5 or maybe, a later version of iOS 14, definitely with iOS 15, we should see some more visual changes here inside of the little control panel here for the AirPods Max inside of settings. But yeah, guys, there you have it. That is the latest firmware update 3C39 for the AirPods Max. If you find anything new or have a better or worse experience after installing this version, let me know in a comment down below. I could do a follow-up on this firmware version, but I'll likely just include information about this in my upcoming 14.5 video, which 14.5, iOS 14.5 should be coming out relatively soon, most likely before the end of March. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you give it a thumbs up. And of course, make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with all of Apple's software updates and more. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.